You're listening to the Miracles in Meat podcast. I'm Shane Thibodaux, a fourth-generation butcher at one of the oldest meat markets in the world. My great-grandfather started this business by slaughtering one cow or pig at a time and selling the cuts door-to-door on horse and buggy. Today, our products are enjoyed across the globe. I will attempt to give you some insight as to how we got here and explore the challenges we've had along the way. At Bourgeois, our mission is to preserve our heritage generation after generation through legendary Cajun flavors and the development of relationships, not customers. Since 1891, Bourgeois has maintained age-old culinary traditions that fuel the South Louisiana lifestyle. Over the past 133 years, our Cajun products have gained global recognition, and for tens of thousands of folks around the world, the Bourgeois Cajun Lady logo is a symbol of home. Today, the fourth-generation butchers sit at the 9-foot maple block with loyal customers to discuss the adventures, skills, and passions that guide each of their legacies. These conversations will become priceless resources for future generations of any industry. This is our way of maintaining the spirit, purpose, and traditions of our lost arts in a world of change. 133 years, 4 generations. We're just getting started. All right, Travis Lovell, let's do this first. I'd like to ask everyone that comes on the show this same question. What's your first experience with the meat market or any of our products?
So I think years ago, I worked in the construction field and I did project management, and sales guys and people that came on the job or would bring jerky or cheese or whatever it was to these sites. And, you know, I grew up pretty much in Houma, so I didn't really know about Bourgeois and Thibodaux, you know, and until all of a sudden I got this amazing beef jerky one day and I'm like, man, where'd this come from? Okay. And anyways, long story short, you know, ended up going there and getting my own. And man, still doing it to the day.
So when you walked into that building, what was the first thing you remember thinking?
First thought is, wow, what a cool place. You know, a lot of things going. I mean, there were girls packing jerky, packing boudin, a little bit of everything going, but super cool place to be right on the bayou side. You know, I mean, the traffic was going outside. I mean, it was busy.
It's buzzing.
Buzzing, but man.
Was it intimidating?
Not really.
All right. A lot of people, it's so hard because we grew up around it, and it's just always been a home sort of to us. So it's so hard to understand what it looks like from an outsider's perspective. You know, first time or 100th time, it's so hard to know what you see, like what you see when you come in. And I do it a lot. I go outside a lot, or almost every time I check the mail, almost every time. When I turn around, I come in through the front door, and a lot of times I just pretend I've never been here, and I just look at it, and I see who's that person. I wonder what they're doing. I wonder what they're doing. What's over here? I try to do that every time to just like unfamiliarize myself and just see if anything happens. You know, like sometimes you see something and you're like, that box is in a weird spot, or whatever, or that thing could be shifted that way, or that needs to be thrown into the bayou, whatever needs to happen.
Pretty neat though to see, you know, all the pieces coming together to make one puzzle. You know, that was pretty cool. You got somebody that's cutting steaks, you got somebody that's weighing sausage or boudin, somebody checking them out, clients coming in, you know, but all to make one puzzle of badass.
It's cool, man. It's cool when you see customers that know each other, which is just so common. A lot of times, like, that's our entertainment because we're doing the same stuff every day. Like, we're making the same sausage every day. We vacuum packing the same stuff. So, like, a lot of times the fun is like when, you know, one of our salesman customers comes in and he's bullshitting with one of his best buddies that he hadn't seen in a while, and like we get to kind of see it, you know.
Yeah.
So that's so cool. But yeah, to be in that line and to have the buzz of the other side of the counter is one thing, but when they're both popping, like when you come in for a holiday or something and there's the doors constantly opening and closing, cars are pulling up, it makes it very exciting.
Yeah, it's busy.
It's so cool.
It's busy. Beef jerky's booming. So
yeah.
it's a good thing. And hey, look, what a testament for business to be that busy. It's a good product.
Mm-hmm. It is good stuff, and it's so much better of a feeling to sell something that you really, really know is good. That way, when they don't want it or they don't like it, then you can just assume they're stupid. And that's honestly how I feel. And I'll say it to someone. If I offer you this piece of beef jerky and you say you don't like it,
you don't like beef jerky.
I don't respect your opinion anymore because it's good.
You vegetarian.
Yeah. There are things that I'm not going to push on you like that, but let's say the beef jerky, I'm going to say, you don't know what you're talking about.
Best I ever had. And look, the people I bring it to, they say the same.
Yeah.
And same, when I introduce it to somebody, I'm like, you gotta have this. Like, if you go and buy that place, you gotta get this. It's not like a maybe. It don't matter what it costs. You gotta get it.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll thank me later.
Makes a great gift too. We got a lot of folks they just purchase it for gifts. They don't even eat it. They just know that if they need to get someone something, that's what they're getting. Yeah,
and what awesome capability to be able to vacuum pack it and have it for a little while. Not a huge shelf life.
And we got guys like you sending it up to wherever, Alaska and Texas, and getting it all over the country, and that's awesome. Like, man, we love seeing people that's like Christmas is coming up. They got their buddy in California. That's the first thing they think about is us. Like, first thing to think about is jerky. Easy.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Done.
That's cool.
It's amazing.
When I bring it to people on the boat, I don't bring it every day, but I might bring some sticks or something that I've had made from antelope or something wild that I've killed. But man, people, just the smoke taste. It's the same smoke every day. I know how you guys do it. I mean, I just took a tour of the place. I mean, what a beautiful new facility and a hell of a smoke room, but the smoke is the same every single time.
Yep. It's a process.
It's
not easy.
It's consistent.
It's not easy, and it's not the easy way. It's not the efficient way. It's not the cost productive way, but it's the best way.
Yeah, it's what works.
Yeah, it's the best way.
Yeah, when you find it, you stick to it.
Yep. Let's get into a little bit about personal stuff. Where'd you grow up, and what'd you do leading up to here?
Well, I grew up in Houma the majority of my life. Still had my feet and hands in the bayou as well. Skip out days in high school. I was still going to Dularge and fish or whatever it was. But I grew up in Houma and, always fished and hunted down in the Dularge area.
Dude, we grew up in Dularge as well. My Uncle John has a smokehouse.
Yeah.
He has a camp. He's like the last camp with power. I think now none of them have power, right?
None of them. That's right.
But he was right there before that dam. And was that Voss?
Yeah, Voss Canal.
Yeah, he's right before that dam that goes to Voss. And that was some of the best memories of my life, is going there and just being a boy, just in a pirogue, catching whatever we could put our hands on, and we'd stay up all night long, dip netting crabs at the end of the dock until 4.
I always say this, when you cross the bridge, the Dularge Bridge is a big old bridge, and we usually leave all the rules at the foot of that thing. So when you get down to the bottom of it, hey, let life be life.
And, okay, college?
Yeah, so I didn't start college until a little bit later in life. I started working just right out of high school, doing project management. I worked for the state for a while, and I decided that I would pursue civil engineering, and I went to Nichols for a couple years and decided that as much as I liked it, I didn't like it. And I really didn't want to work for the man. So I decided that I would venture out, and, fishing was something I always wanted to do. I always had the skills to do it. I had the tools to do it, but I didn't know the business side of it, And so finally, in 2008, I decided that I was going to not go to college anymore and I was going to start a business. And, at the end of the day, again, I didn't really know what I was going to do, but it was something that I wanted to pursue. And
so I'm going to stop you. I know you're a big hunter as well.
correct.
You bring us tons of game. I was going to say deer, but let's just call it game. Let's say when you were in high school or college, were you leaning more towards, did you like fishing more, hunting more, same, can't take either of them away?
I probably did a little bit of both. I didn't start hunting until a little later in life. I think I killed my first deer. I was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I had duck hunted a few times, and the deer hunt, the first time I ever went deer hunting, I shot a doe, and I was now a deer hunter.
Right.
And it was something I enjoyed. I loved the hell out of it at the time. I'm like, man, why am I just getting into this now? Of course, I fished my whole life. My dad took me. My grandfather took me. It was a big thing in our family. But at the end of the day, I think I probably would lean a little bit of both. Once I started hunting, I liked hunting and I liked fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I fish for a living, I probably lean a little more on the hunting side, which is why you see me a little more.
You want whatever you don't have. Yeah.
Yeah, so, that's kind of...
You hunt recreationally.
Yeah.
Fish professionally.
Fish professionally, hunt recreationally, and try to hunt as much as I can.
And maybe when you get a little older, you can swap.
Yeah, we'll see.
You might have to.
We'll see how that works.
And, all right, what's the name of your charter company?
Yeah, so Reelin Good Charters is the name of my business. This year makes 17 years. Like I said, I started in 2008 and just started chipping at the block. Man, my goal at the time was if I could fish 4 times a month, that was a start.
Mm-hmm.
And then you reach those 4 times, and then it was like, well, now I'm fishing 4 times a week. And then, the things that you were doing. So I was doing that project and, project management and so forth. Well, you started seeing the fishing overtake that. So at some point I had to make a decision of, hey, I'm going to just go into this thing.
Mm-hmm. Was it making, what you mean, it was making more sense financially, or just in your heart, that's what you felt?
I think in my heart is what I felt, but the demand was there for business.
Mm-hmm. Was Dularge popping with charter back then?
Yeah, there was a few,
Who's like the old timers out there?
Yeah, Bill Lake.
Yeah,
Bill Lake. He's a friend of mine, and look, took me under his wing in business. That's how I started.
He was like your mentor?
Yeah, basically. Started networking with him, and look, I owe a lot of appreciation to him, just, for the initial, hey, this guy works with us,
Mm-hmm.
He's one of our team.
Now, how does that work? Are you like in the club? You're like in their club?
Yeah, it's kind of a clique.
Or it's more or less, we approve of you doing your own thing? Or is it more of you're with us?
Yeah, I think it's kind of umbrella,
Yeah, it's probably just a respect.
Yeah, we do things as a group. If you eat, we eat,
mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how it was. We all had our agreeances of, hey, how we would operate business and what we would do, what we wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I wouldn't work for him and sell his guy T-shirts for Reelin Good Charters,
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't expect for him to work for me and sell Bill Lake T-shirts or,
sure.
Whatever it was. But, we had all those understandings. And, again, as business just continued to grow, I mean, dude, it's amazing. And I still tell my wife this to the day is like the demand for fishing, no matter what we've been through. I mean, the COVID, if the oil spills, the oil field, all these things, when it starts affecting people's money, people are still going fishing, which is awesome. And I think it says a lot about Louisiana. What a cool ass place that we live in.
Yeah. Hard-headed, huh?
Yeah. Hard-headed, but man, we got good fishing.
Now, some are doing it for food. Some are going fishing because it's fun, no matter the consequences.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. A little bit of both.
Man, so you've seen a lot in 17 years. Maybe not you, but I kind of forget about the oil spill, but commercial fishermen or a charter guide, I bet they don't. I bet they don't forget about it.
It was monumental. At the end of the day, I was just a couple years into business for myself. And I was lucky that I still was kind of relying on the project management as well. So when the spill did happen, I still did have a paycheck, but there were some people that didn't,
Right.
and we made it through it. And we were fortunate in the Dularge area where I fish, we didn't have any oil. It might have saw a little sheen here or there, but we got a lot of backwater, a lot of marsh. I think if that oil would have got in places like that, it'd have been stuff they could never, ever clean up.
Years. Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't even made sense what they had to probably done to get it out of there. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people remember about it. Definitely a big speed bump, and glad it's over. Hope to not have another one.
And all right, let's get in a little more about like making the jump. Just some thoughts and feelings of when you actually did that, pulling the plug.
So for me, one thing I always appreciated about Louisiana is we got a cool ass place here. People come from all over the world to fish here, to fish that we have that they can't get. You can't go to Colorado and catch a redfish. Because people love to come here and catch a redfish or a speckled trout or a sheep's head or a flounder or whatever fish somebody wants to go and take a look at. And, it in my mind, and I kind of take for granted living here, is what a cool place we have. Like people come here for that specifically. Right. We grew up here.
I know.
I mean, like,
it doesn't make too much sense.
We want to go fishing. We hook up to the boat, and 25 minutes later, we in a lake somewhere fishing. And
you do take for granted, things like gators.
Yeah, alligators.
I remember talking to guys. We met some guys from Colorado that had farms and stuff. They will, on a dime, trade you going elk hunt their private property to come catch an alligator.
Yeah,
like to us, that sounds so silly, like you're getting ripped off. But even to them, it is special.
Even to see an alligator.
To see it, yeah, just want to look at it.
Hey, Cap, do you think we got a chance of seeing an alligator today? I had a group. This was just last year. We had 3 days fishing, and the first 2 days, this group was here for 3 days, and the first 2 days we go and we smack the fish. And these guys are from Tennessee. And on the third day, well, if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. So we going back to the same spot. We smacked the fish 2 days in a row. Well, these guys drove a long way and really hadn't seen much of our area. And those guys said, hey, man, we brought beers and we kind of just want to go on a little cruise. I'm like, a booze cruise? He's like, yeah, let's do a booze cruise. He said, man, we want to see an alligator. You think we can see an alligator? I said, how many do you want to see?
I'll let you touch one.
So, man, look, and how close you want to get? So at one point, I mean, we instead of going fishing, we really just went on a booze cruise for those guys.
Right.
Man, it was a special moment for those guys because they got to take the cameras out to show a video back to their kid in Tennessee. Hey, look what we saw, There's 10 alligators in one spot.
And you got a little break.
And I got a break. I didn't even have to clean fish that day.
Didn't sweat.
Didn't sweat.
Yeah.
We rode. We put the tunes on. Man, it was a Cajun cruise, and look, I've been fortunate over 17 years that the majority of my clients aren't here to fill the freezer, but to take home a memory, and to take home that picture or that, hey, I'm fishing with my dad. And just last week I had a guy and his father's dad was 90 years old. Like how many fishing trips do you have left with him, and how many does he have of you? He might outlive you. You never know. But, a 90-year-old guy on the boat, and look, we had him reeling in redfish and talking smack to his son. And, man, what a cool trip. But, I've been fortunate that the majority of my people aren't here to fill a freezer. Now, we do. I mean, that's the business that we in. We do catch fish. I had a lady from Alaska that I would fish, and she says, back home in Alaska, we're serial killers. We keep one here and there. She said, but you guys are mass murderers. Like, y'all catch a lot of fish and y'all keep a lot of fish. And I would have to bend her arm to keep a limit or to keep, some stuff to eat. But anyways, man, what a cool area we have just to have the abundance of seafood.
It is special. And we all take it for granted, I think.
And look, not just fish. I mean, the fishing business is what I'm in, but man, you got crawfish, you got shrimp, you got crabs, you got oysters.
Good stuff.
You got all these things that you seeing people working while you fishing. You see an oysterman oyster right on the side of you.
Yeah.
The good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or you see the trawl boats shrimping and they coming in and they're unloading thousands and thousands of pounds of shrimp. What a cool place to know that all of our product is going all over the United States.
And they need it.
Yeah. Because they can't get it. Kind of like bourgeois beef jerky. You need it.
Just like the Gulf. Do you remember your first trip?
I remember my first trip. I do. I had 3 guys. I don't recall where they were from, but I had 3 guys with me, and man, I was nervous.
Did you line it up?
I actually worked for somebody else. I worked for another guide, and it was kind of just like the chute's going to open, and here you go. And
was it like hey, tomorrow you're on?
No, we had a little bit of notice. I knew what was going to go on, and I mean, we all had a game plan of where we were going to go and what we were going to do. Of course, growing up fishing there, I mean, it wasn't like I had to go find a fishing spot, I mean, I knew what I was going to do. But, again, like at the end of the day, I got I had a little anxiety about it just because, hey, this is the first.
Pressure's on.
Yeah, pressure's on, What if they cool? What if they not cool?
What if we only catch hardheads?
What if it's just Catfish City, USA?
Would you say you have a style? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, I think I have a style. I think for me, business is just, it really should be a fun time. Yeah, we're here to catch fish. Yeah, we'll most probably catch fish. But at the end of the day, you want it to be a special time for those people. I get people that drive in a long way, people that fly in from a long way, Australia, Africa, Canada. I mean, like we see people from across the globe, not just the United States. But man, if somebody catches a lot of fish and has a shitty time doing it, it's really not that much fun, And I learned shortly after starting business, I learned that A, I can't make fish bite, and then B, when fish are biting, I can't make somebody catch one. Like there are some people that they never fished in their life and probably couldn't catch a turd in a bucket. However, if they caught 3, it's the most they ever caught. So while you think it's a bad day to that person, they caught the most fish they ever caught in their life.
All right, here's a good question.
Sure.
Before we started, we were talking music, and you were saying you can look at a drum kit and you can tell if you're going to like the guy's music or not, just by the way the kit looks.
Yeah, sure.
Can you tell an angler when you see him? When he's walking up in the morning, what are some things? What are some things you're going to see and you're going to go, this is going to be a knucklehead?
This is a true story. I had someone that booked a trip, and it was a female, and it was a surprise trip, and the guy shows up with her. They show up that morning of the trip, and of course we do inshore saltwater fishing, speckled trout, redfish, black drum. This guy shows up, and he's got 2 big offshore reels, and I'm talking about like tuna fishing, like paper plate size reels, and I'm thinking
50 wide.
Like, am I really getting punked here? Like, I thought I was getting punked. And so I get out and I shake his hand, and he's like, man, how far you guys been catching the tuna?
Shit.
I'm like, we're not going tuna fishing.
We just do canned tuna, buddy.
Only the can.
I think Bill Lake set you up on that.
He might have. But look, so I'm like, well, we're not going tuna fishing, He's like, I said, we're going red fishing. He says, yeah, red snapper, huh? And I'm thinking, oh man, where did this go wrong? Now, granted, man, super nice girl that booked the trip, but man, what's really going on here? So we get to fishing. Of course, we did go red fishing, not red snapper fishing or tuna fishing, but kind of one of those, It's like, man, you thought, like,
right. How do I fix this next time?
Well, where did this one go wrong? But that
tuna,
was
red snaps.
That was one that kind of went. When he walked up, I'm like, I don't know.
Sure.
This ended up being a super nice guy. They're repeat clients of mine, but in the beginning, he was very confused of what the hell we were going to do, and we caught fish, so it was a good day. But Man, we see people of all sorts, obviously. People, we get fly fishermen, we get people who have never fished before, we get avids.
So you'll get a guy that'll come down with a fly rod and he just says, put me on the fish. I know how to fly fish.
I've got my gear.
Put me on them.
Yeah. And look,
how common is that?
We see it. I probably run about 10 trips maybe a year.
What about
that I bring a fly stick? And I encourage it. Hey, look, I encourage if you want to bring your own rod and reel, whatever you're comfortable with.
So what's the split between, let's say, like avid anglers, they just need to be put on the fish and they just don't have access to a boat, versus more like one time, or, it's my 5th trip ever in my life. Those guys, like, I kind of know how to fish, but I really don't. You're going to need to help me all day long. What's like your split on that?
For the majority, I think most people are listeners, which is great. So if somebody hadn't fished before, those are the people that are like tuned into you, like, hey,
they almost learn more. Yeah.
When the rod and reel is upside down and they're reeling backwards, like, hey, how do I work this thing? At that point, that's when the tutorials come in, and you got to, of course, look, those aren't always the easiest days, but those are sometimes the most rewarding.
Sure.
Because again, somebody might have never caught a fish before and they caught one, or they caught 1,000. So that's a win, However, you do get the guy who is a avid bass fisherman and he shows up in the Booyah jersey and, just sponsors all over the place. And he's just there to catch some fish. Over the years, I've kind of sifted the flour. I'll say that. I've been fortunate that the referral business has been like really good to me. So like if Joe fishes with me and Joe's really cool and he sends Mike down with me, well, Mike's probably pretty cool too.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So, and my claim to fame is ducks fly with ducks. So when somebody refers somebody, chances are it's going to be a like-minded person. So I would think at this point, I see a lot of avid fishermen, and those people are usually coming like corporate groups or, whatever. But I still see a good bit of people who've never done this before in their lives. It might be a ladies group. It might be all men, might be mixed couples, whatever it is. Hey, we want to go fishing. What do we do? And you can tell those calls instantly because they don't know what they booking. It's like, hey, somebody told me to call you. We don't know, but if they said to call you, you the guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Yeah.
I had a call. This was a couple years back, and this lady says, hey, I'm calling to book a fishing trip for my husband's birthday, and his best friend told me you the guy to go to. I'm like, okay, yeah, let me tell. She said, I have no idea what I'm booking. But he said you the guy, you the guy. I'm like, all right, well, let me first tell you about me, like send you my website. Like, I don't want you to book something just because somebody told you to. And she says, well, if this guy says you the guy, you probably the guy. I said, well, if you don't mind me asking, like, who's your husband's best friend? And she stops and she says, Hank Williams Jr. And I'm like, as in Bo Cephas? Like, that dude? She's like, don't hold that against us. I'm like, not at all. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Shit.
So Hank Williams Jr. told you to call me. Wow. Okay. So in the meantime, I get a text and it's from Jacob Landry, Swamp People. And he says, hey, T, I just gave your number to Hank Williams Jr. Don't know if it's him that's going to call you or not, but be expecting an Alabama number to call. I said, well, I'm on the phone with him right now, but thank you.
Check that out.
So, referrals, man, it's huge. Obviously, if somebody says to go, they go. And I've been fortunate for that and thankful too. But because over the years, like what I was saying is, you sift the flour and it's, you see some people come back and then you see maybe one group you might not see for 4 or 5 years. And then all of a sudden you get a call back and it's that same group. Typically, though, at this point in business, I'm probably seeing the same folks a lot.
Right.
Just is what it is. And I'm fortunate for that because now at this stage of the game, you're fishing with family, really. Friends and family.
Long time.
These people want to see pictures of your kids. These people want to know, hey, what you killed. How's hunting season? Come hunting with us. like these people, you've built relationships, and I'm sure you see it on this side of the fence too. You know, the same people that come and buy beef jerky or
But you watch you watch a customer come in for 10 years with their little kid, and now their kid's pulling up in the truck.
Yeah,
it's like, whoa.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's crazy.
I personally got some kids that I saw. They might have been 7, 8 years old. I saw those kids catch their first fish. Same thing. Now they come in on their own with friends, bachelor parties, and so forth.
You do a lot of bachelor parties, I'm sure.
Yeah, we do a fair amount. But man, it makes you feel old when you see these kids that caught their first fish with you now coming and booking and paying on their own.
They're getting married.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Life goes fast.
I haven't done much charter fishing, but I did do one for my bachelor party in Toledo Bend. It was a sac-a-lait trip.
Yeah.
We went with he was a Bassmaster Hall of Famer. I forgot Allen something. I don't know. I wanted to say Gary Allen, but I think he's a musician. Anyway, we had like 9 guys on 2 boats, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. If you didn't do exactly what he said, you wasn't catching shit. So like all of us have fished our whole life. Like we want to cast over there. He's like, drop it right here. Count to 3, flip your bail, do this, count to 4, and then pull, and you're gonna have a fish. If you didn't do that, you wasn't catching a fish.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah. So tell me some stories about guys you're trying to teach. Everyone's catching in the boat but them because they're not doing what you say.
Well, I'll tell you first, I think rule number 1 is the captain is always right. Rule number 2, if in doubt, refer back to rule number 1. You got to listen. I mean, look, and everybody's trip is your own trip. What you take home from it is what you put into it too, But, you see people who are kind of in left field, maybe casting the opposite way of where the reef is or where the rig is or the island or whatever it is. And then sometimes that can work in your favor too. I've had it to where, hey, we're catching fish on this one point, and I got one guy just totally in left field. And then before long, those fish are there, and everybody's casting where that guy was. And in your mind, you're thinking like, man, I know I told this guy like 50 times now to fish are on this side. And then all of a sudden, you eating crow because he's catching them where he was randomly throwing. But, hey, everybody's teachable. Again, a lot of people, when they come here and they hadn't done this before, those people are listeners. So it works in your favor. You kind of give a little instructional and hope that they take it.
Mm-hmm. Earlier, I asked about your style. Are you like a run and gun type of guy? Or I guess you kind of have to be like that, especially with trout, right? Trout, you have to, if not now, then move, right? You got to move quick. Is that true?
It depends. There are some days where I've probably been the most patient. I've sweated a spot out just because I knew that on Monday through Thursday, they were there. Mm-hmm. And you show up on Friday, they're there.
Mm-hmm. Just got to find out what.
Maybe they just not eating yet. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's 10:30 and they're going to eat. And maybe they ain't gone. Mm-hmm. And look, sometimes, when you're running and gunning, that's when the fish are biting. So you kind of got to straddle the fence there. I probably, out of the group of guys that I fish, I probably am one that'll sweat a spot out a little longer than somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Just because you've seen it produce more.
Yeah, I mean, you just know that spot. You grew up fishing that spot. Mm-hmm. It might not look the same, but them rocks are still down there. Mm-hmm. And them fish still go there every year to spawn or, to live or whatever it is. But, at the end of the day, like, those fish are right there. Mm-hmm. Now, again, that goes back to, I can't make fish bite. There are days where those fish could have been 1,000 of them down there and they weren't eating. Mm-hmm. So you got to go find something else and do something else. That's the benefit, I guess, of being a guide and being on the water as much as you are, is you have a plan B and a C mm-hmm. and a D. I mean, look, there's sometimes you pull out all the stops and what you got is what you got on fish.
Are you still interested in like finding new spots?
Oh yeah, man. Look,
or do you have your spots and that's your spots?
I think a magician can't always have enough tricks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you sometimes, like I said, you pull out all those stops and you need that last, hey, I never fished here before, but it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try it. And then you bang them there.
Are you a guy that'll get on Google Earth and do some scouting like that, or you'd rather ride around the boat and look and see
No,
it?
so, I mean, chances are that as busy as I am now, if I'm in the boat, I'm working. So I don't really like to experiment, I guess. Now, look, there are some days I'm like, hey, look, we've searched high and low. We're going to try something different, you know, and we do something different. But man, look.
Now, do you tell them that, or do you say, wait till y'all see this next spot I'm going to put you on?
Guess I'm going to have to take y'all to a good spot.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Going back to Google, I mean, what incredible technology to be able to look at Google and Onyx and, you know, have all these aerial photography places that, you know, some of the aerials are older, so you can see islands that might not be there anymore. Sometimes that water on the island might have been clear, so you can see the reefs that are there that you might not know about. There's just little places you put in your head to try. And then again, man, every year those fish do the same thing. It's just a big pinwheel, you know, of a circle of life where they're going to go and spawn, and then they'll come back in.
All right. Teach me about that cycle.
Yeah, so
let's say trout. Let's stick with trout.
So let's say trout and like now, dead of the winter. You know, so those fish are trying to be far into the marsh. You know, they're hunkering down for the wintertime, the cold weather. Now, granted, you know, this year we had the 10 inches of snow and
snow and Dularge froze.
Yeah, frozen ice and all these things. And look, we have seen a fish kill, you know, but it's amazing that you see as many fish as you did floating, and then you go and you strike out a limit of redfish or whatever it might be. But, you know, dead of the winter, those trout they're far in the marsh. As those shrimp start to do their thing and move out into the lakes, you'll see those trout follow into the lakes. That's usually, let's just say wintertime is noon. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's say high, you know, midnight. 3 p.m. being springtime. So you'll see those fish move out into the lakes 3 p.m. That's April, May. Those fish are in pattern to go into the Gulf of Mexico. Let's say dead of the summer is 6. So those fish will spawn in the Gulf, and they'll stay there until the fall. Let's say fall is 9 o'clock on a clock. That's going to be fall time. So they're back in the lakes again. Colder it gets, further in the marsh they get. So it's just one big pinwheel. 12 being dead of the winter, spring being 3, and moving out into the lakes. 6 o'clock, you're in the Gulf. Back at 9, back into the lakes, moving back in, and then back in wintertime. So it's amazing to see, though. It's hard to understand that until you see it. You know, I mean, it's just like you might be catching them in the lake for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, there ain't a fish left in the lake. There might be some stragglers, but
and what happens?
Yeah, they've already made it to the coast.
I was gonna ask you this question. I was gonna say, what's the difference between a guide and a fisherman? Y'all both launch y'all boat at the same time. What are you doing that he's not doing? And then I answered it by you explaining that. The guide understands this, and he's timed correctly. The fisherman, he went last month and he saw a boat in Lost Lake, or he saw 10 boats in Lost Lake. And then now he's finally getting to go fish 2 weeks later. And he goes, well, there was a bunch of boats in Lost Lake. Yeah. I'm going to Lost Lake. So he spends his whole morning in Lost Lake while y'all are in the Gulf.
Correct.
And they're always chasing. Yeah. So they don't know this.
You know, I always say time on the water is time on the water, you know, homework. And, you know, being fortunate enough to be able to fish 8 days a week, you know, when it's that busy, you seeing those fish move. So you can go to that same point and you catch them 3-4 days in a row, and then, well, come Friday, well, they might just be a little bit closer to the coast, and then you'll fish the coast 7, 8, 10 days, a month. Just it depends how long they hold up. Depends on weather conditions. But when they finally make it out into the Gulf, they're not going anywhere for a couple months. I mean, they're staying there. They need that salinity. They like the sandy bottom. It's the things that are needed to reproduce. So you'll see them fish out there for quite a bit. That being said, obviously, in our area, that's open water. So if you got windy days, I mean, you probably be red fishing or, doing something else where it's not rough. And then again, we get some people who are like, hey, man, we don't care how rough it is. That's what we want to go do.
Put a mouthpiece in.
Yeah. Yeah, you get that mouthpiece and you go to work, and you go.
Living on the edge, man.
That's one thing. That's one cool thing about our coast too is, you got places you can hide behind, islands you can go to. If it's windy, so forth, go to the east, you can go to Blast Island or hide behind something.
What's your, I don't know, what's your territory? Like, how far east, how far west are you like, nah, I ain't going over there?
Yeah, probably Last Island is probably the furthest I would go east.
Mm-hmm.
And really, if I go there and then fish all south of Dularge and haven't caught anything, well, I'm in trouble at that point. But, I mean, they ain't biting. And you got to go to a plan B where it might be going soak a shrimp on a jig head for a redfish or a sheep's head or whatever it is to catch. And, look, we talking about trout, but man, I get a lot of people who just want to go catch sheep's head.
100.
Dude, it's huge.
100 of them, yeah.
There's no size. There's no limit.
Cane pole them now, I see.
They're the best thing you could eat, in my opinion. They're great fish. And then I've had it where, we go and catch a limit of speckled trout and one black drum. The guy's like, man, those trout ain't good, but man, that drum was good.
Right.
You got a place we can go? We different people want different things, so we try to tailor our trips to what somebody truly wants.
And do you just talk to them on the phone beforehand and tell me what you really want?
Going back to my clients, I'm kind of fortunate that my people are so easy. Man, and I say that meaning hey, Cap, whatever you think we got the best chance at, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
And look, there's some days it might be trout, or it might be, hey, look, it's cold, it's windy, we got to go hide somewhere in a canal, and it's going to be redfish, or, hey, it's going to be whatever we catch. Obviously, if somebody's traveling from Alaska to come, well, just because it's 20-mile-an-hour winds doesn't mean that we're not going fishing. Mm-hmm. They traveled a long way.
That's when the pressure's on,
and that's when the pressure gets good. You gotta have that backup plan and prepare for a rainy day because it's going to come. But anyways, I've been fortunate that the majority of my clients are just like, hey, whatever you think we got the best chance at, that's what we want to do. Mm-hmm. Now, I had a group down, and they come every year. It's a bunch of tobacco farmers from Tennessee, and they come in the last 3 days of the year. And these guys have a great trip on sheep's head and reds every year. It's cold. When the cold happens, those trout kind of get a little bit lethargic. But these guys are here for a meat haul. Mm-hmm. They love catching fish. Everybody's great fishermen. And every year they've come, probably for the last 6 or 7 years, we've just smashed the fish. Well, this year they come, and it's 80 degrees in the last couple of days of the year. And there was not a sheep's head to be found, not a redfish to be found. But we did catch limits of speckled trout every day. Mm-hmm. And I had 4 or 5 boats, that I network with that were working for me. And everybody caught speckled trout. But these guys were here for redfish and sheep's head. Now, granted, they weren't disappointed. It was just something they weren't used to. Normally, we're all suited up in bibs and jackets and so forth. And this year, we were in shorts and flip-flops. So it was just a different view for them this year. But, man, again, people come sometimes specifically for something, and we can make it happen. And then again, most of the people just say, hey, whatever you think we got the best chance at doing, let's go have fun. Let's put some music on, show us Louisiana, and really that's the heart of my business has always kind of just been memories over money. Somebody goes home with a good memory, man, they got it.
Right.
They got what they came here for, it was a win. But, for me, again,
who's some other cool people you met along the way?
Man, I've been fortunate, again, going back to the referral business. I've met some cool cats. If somebody, just like the Hank Williams Jr. thing, he didn't know who to call. I had never fished Hank Williams Jr. And I hoped, if you're listening,
Yeah.
come on fishing. Tell me some stories, But, somebody of a reputable status told him, just the dude you call.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't waver. This is the guy you call. He passed my name along. But man, celebrity status, you see a few guys come, obviously the Jacob Landry and Troy Landry, Swamp People, those guys send everybody to me.
That's awesome.
And they're friends of mine,
Mm-hmm.
It's just like me sending everybody to go get bourgeois beef jerky.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're a friend of mine, so I want to see you benefit from that, but it's also badass product.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why wouldn't you? And the people that refer to the fishing side of it is the same thing. I mean, they don't come to fish for fish; they come to fish with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that arrogantly. I'm gonna take those fish off for those people. I'm gonna bait that line. I'm gonna tell that little Johnny joke or whatever it is. Like,
you got a joke book?
Oh man, I got a joke book for days.
Or you got an app?
Oh no app.
Man,
gotta go off.
You gotta have jokes, huh?
You gotta be able jokes.
Dude. You gotta be able to be a DJ. You gotta navigate. You gotta tell jokes.
I say this, and not everybody gets this, but it's an entertainment business with some fishing involved. A lot of fishing guides think, I might be telling my secret here. A lot of people think it's a fishing business with some entertainment. And that could be.
Right.
But it's really an entertainment business with some fishing involved. Because, man, again, you can't make fish bite. So what happens when they don't?
And
you gotta be telling jokes.
And what happens when there's 40 other charter guides to choose from?
This is
and
right.
they can all catch fish.
This is right.
Then it's not about the fish.
That's right.
But
going back to people, some of the country artists, probably Chris Young, Jimmy Allen, football players, Dak Prescott, Logan Cook. Obviously, Dak's been a friend of mine for a long time since he was at Mississippi State. Logan actually was a referral from Dak, and he became a great friend of mine. Both guys have some foundations that we do work with and auction off fishing trips with them as well. So it's been, you see people come and then they go back home and they tell somebody, and before long, the whole offensive line wants to take a trip. And it's, whoever they're bringing. So it's domino effect. Yeah. Which, again, I feel like we're doing something right. We 17 years in, and you see a lot of the same folks. It's just a pat on the back. The biggest thing for somebody to come back is the biggest compliment.
Who handles booking and stuff like that? Do you do it on a website? You have like a software or something?
I do it all.
You do it all?
Yeah, I do it all. Mostly through phone calls, text messages, and so forth. My phone is constantly going off, which, hey, it's, that's business. And I enjoy doing it because, look, I feel like I run business how I want to run business. So when somebody calls, it's catching up with a friend, because you haven't seen them since last year or last month or 2 years, but you're catching up, but you're also doing business at the same time, which, again, that, the relationships and the friendships that I've made over the years, that's kind of the benefit of that, is that it's just not fishing only. It is friendships and relationships too,
How's, we were talking about technology earlier. How's let's say media changed that business over the 17 years?
Yeah, I find, when I was a kid, Dularge really wasn't a thing. I mean, people fish there, but it wasn't like a popular place to go.
Come from California to go to Dularge.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you did, it was Venice or Grand Isle.
Venice gets all the credit, right?
Yeah, I mean, Grand Isle, Cocodrie, another big time fish. And look, all great places. Fortunately, I just never had to go there just because, Dularge was the backyard for us. And, it was an area that I knew. But over time, there were different forums and, obviously things like Onyx and, different aerial photography apps and different things that it was a game changer. Of course, technology is just ever increasing. So, there's a lot of things that are wide open to somebody looking at, or, hey, the fish are biting in Lost Lake. And, there's Facebook, You got groups who, and people go in there and just say, hey, we caught 50 speckled trout in Lost Lake. Well, where you saw 10 boats in Lost Lake, well, now you got 50. And look, so be it. There's so much water to fish.
But you know what else you see? You see guys taking their picture and they'll blur out any piece of anything in the background. An island, a rock, a dock, because everyone they see that dock, they're like, I know where that's at.
You got to be specific.
It's much bigger in offshore too. You're not gonna catch a whole rig visible in someone's video offshore. They're blurring out everything.
Same. I've over the years and even my social media stuff, I learned that if you're fishing every day, you can't post every day. And if you go to my social media right now, I might not post it for a month.
Right.
I might have fished 20 days, but I don't post it. And it's because if you saw me fishing here and I post that night, well, then you know exactly what I did. And you see, it's unbelievable, but you see folks.
You'll be back there the next day.
God,
and you'll see them.
Yeah, 1,000%. So, for me, and one of the things as far as like social media, I had to realize that when you start to book 3 and 4 months out, well, if people see fish are biting a day, they want to go catch fish next week. Hey, what do you have next week? What do you have?
Right, yeah.
You got tomorrow open? Well, I don't have anything open until November. Oh, really? And then that person calls somebody else. So then you lose out on that potential client or, hey, I've got a good network of guys that I can set somebody else up with and vice versa. I work for a couple other guides as well, but if you post too much, then people call, which you want. It's a fine line there. Right, you want people to call. You want people to come and buy beef jerky, but you don't want to overload it and then people not buy it.
Yeah.
Or they can't access it. For me, if I post, fish are biting, people want to go fishing. And somebody sees that post, well, they instantly start thinking about fishing, so you gotta, over the years, I've had to really strategically decide if I want to be an everyday poster or if I just want to stay busy and post when I can.
Are you, or have you ever been a big gear nerd?
Not really.
You don't need a new tackle box every year and swap all your rods every 6 months. And
I do every year. I order a whole round of rods and reels. And I'll take I'll take last year's. That'll be all backup equipment. I'll get all new equipment for this year. As far as boats, I flip them every 3. So you kind of staying in the latest, greatest.
What boat you running?
Right now, I'm running a 26-foot Pathfinder. Got the brand new Yamaha 350. So that just came out March the 1st, I believe, last year.
You live bait?
Not much live bait. No, mostly artificial is what we do. And we've always had an issue with the live bait staying alive. Just because up where the boats are and the bait shops were, it was just a little more brackish or freshwater. So to keep live bait alive has been tough. Yeah. So we throw a lot of plastic and we do well. Look, there are days where you wish you had some live shrimp, but most days we don't have to mess with it.
What's your favorite, I guess, if you had the ideal setup for you to actually enjoy catching trout, what's your favorite way to catch them?
I think I'm kind of...
Mess with topwater?
Yeah, I kind of, if I'm going by myself, I've caught a lot of them in my days. I kind of like that challenge. It's almost like going hunting, and instead of killing one with a rifle, you killing one with a bow. So for me, I think topwater would probably be a target of mine.
More rewarding, I guess.
Yeah, for me, if I catch 2 or 3 on topwater, it was like catching 50 on a tandem rig or whatever.
You get guys, I'm assuming, that want to target big trout? We
do. I think, we get some guys that say, oh man, we can't wait to catch they call them a gator trout. Big gator trout. And I'm like, well, our area has always been known for a lot of trout. We never had a problem with quantity. I can't say we have big trout. 17 years of business. The biggest I've ever had somebody catch is a 5.3. And that was at the Pickett's first cast of the morning, actually, double rig.
Mm-hmm.
it starts peeling drag just like it was a redfish. That's what I thought it would be. And the sunlight's still coming up, and this guy's pole's bent. So I grab the net, and when I do, I see that it's 2 speckled trout. So he had one small one and then the 5'3". But as far as clients, that's the biggest fish that in 17 years of 8 to 10,000
Right.
a year. It's a lot of fish to only have a 5'3".
Now, I don't even know if this is allowed, but do clients hire you to go fish like redfish tournaments?
No.
Is that allowed?
I don't know if it's allowed. I don't really deal with the tournaments too much just because it's so, they don't know a date. You might be booked on that date.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now I'm curious if you're allowed to hire a guide to go fish a redfish tournament.
Yeah, I don't. Usually it's
seems
a team.
like there would be a big market for it.
Well, usually it's a team,
Right.
So, I mean, there are, local tournaments or whatever. I mean, we might get some calls to run a group. Maybe they don't have a boat or, I know Cocodrie does like a ladies tournament.
Mm-hmm. So
at that point, a lot of guys are getting like 3 or 4 ladies and it's all ladies groups per boat or whatever the case. But, so as far as like the circuit redfish, it's usually like partners.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be me and you, and we partnered up and we entered. It's just us.
Yeah. What was you in a 26 Pathfinder?
26.
What was your first boat?
Ooh, first boat I ever had. Let me tell you about this boat. So it was my grandparents. This is a long time ago, but it was their 50th wedding anniversary. And they lived in Bayou Blue, and there was a empty lot next door, and this guy was cleaning up this lot. And I didn't have a boat. We throughout the day, this guy kept loading junk along the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him at the end of the day. It was one, like a 14-foot aluminum boat that he just puts right on top of the junk pile. And I'm like, man, I don't have a boat, but that would be cool, So I asked my dad, I said, Dad, can we take that boat home? He said, I'll tell you what, if you ask that guy if you could have that boat and he says yes, we'll take that boat home.
Mm-hmm.
Boat leaked like a faucet. I know it while I was on the top of the junk pile because it was junk. But it was a boat.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that boat home and I had some sawhorses and and I put about 1 inch of water on the bottom of the floor of that thing. And I mean, they leaked. But when they leaked, I took a drill and I would drill every rivet out, just completely out. And it had more JB weld and
hell yeah,
screws, you name bolt. I'd put a bolt in there and JB weld everything together. And before long, I had a little boat. I didn't have a motor.
Mm-hmm.
So one day, one of my dad's brothers comes to our house and he said, "Man, what you doing with that little boat?" I said, fishing the bayou up by my mom and dad's house. I said, "But I don't have a motor for it." He said, "You want a motor for that thing?" I said, "What you got?" He said, "I'll tell you what." Now, my dad's family is big into antiques. He said, "Your dad's got a set of wrought iron gates behind his shed. He ain't using them. You get me them gates, I'll give you this little boat. I'll give you the motor for that boat." I said, "All right." So I called my dad. I said, "Dad, I just gave your gates away. They're gone." I gave them away. I said, "But we got a 25 Evinrude." And this thing was probably like a 1974, 76. Smoke like you ain't never saw smoke. But you know what? I had a boat and I had a motor. And
you had a bunch of JB weld in the shape of a boat.
Oh my God. It was, I had a little bit of boat with my JB weld.
Go look at the meat market in Trevor.
Yeah.
That's JB weld in the shape of a meat market.
Hey, but it works. I can tell
everything
you,
in there got some JB weld on it.
That little boat caught some fish. We would take, at the time, I would take that boat, put it in the back of a truck with a motor inside of the boat. I'd get to a boat launch somewhere and just start hooking things up. And I'd go fishing and I'd catch fish. And then before long, this was back in the days, you may remember this or not, but they had the weekly one ads. And, if you don't know what it was just a classified, you could pick it up at the, a restaurant or, at the door of a Walmart or whatever it was. And if you listed something for under $100, it was free. Well, I'll be damned. I see a boat trailer for $99. So I tell my dad, I said, man, what do you think about this? Now, it was a homemade trailer,
Mm-hmm.
but for $99, I had a boat, and a pair of wrought iron gates. I had a boat, motor, and a trailer. And that was the first thing I ever started as a kid catching fish in. And still, when I buy boats today, I always go and show it to my mom and dad, and they're like, man, amazing how far you've come from the boat that you got off the junk pile
God.
in Bayou Blue. And I still think about it. Look, I caught a lot of fish in that boat because you didn't care about it. I mean, if you went up on the rocks, whatever you went up on, it didn't matter. Like it was junk. So you could treat it like junk.
Mm-hmm.
But it caught some fish. And
there's boats, and then there's fish catching boats.
That was a fish
and you
catching.
know it when you see it.
Yeah, that was a fish catching boat. Look, it wasn't nothing to look at.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the prettiest one out there, but I guarantee you we didn't starve.
Mm-hmm.
And, over time, as I got older, I got some different boats over the years. And when I first started guiding, it was a boat that I already had. I just kind of rolled it into the business.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bay boat. And I started running specific brands, and every 3 years, I just started getting a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I said earlier, you get into a point where in 3 years, you're ready for something new, a new office view, but you can still sell it and get some money back on it.
How many hours you putting on a motor?
I probably have about maybe 400 a year. Yeah, so you selling them, you got somewhere between that 1,000, 1,200,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people kind of frown upon, but for me, I'd rather buy one with some hours.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's been used, seasoned. I like your black iron pot.
Tuned up.
Yeah, man, it's a tuned up. It's a seasoned pot, like a black iron pot, or just buying one that had been sitting.
I know, man, because I hate hearing about people get a brand new spanking whatever, and it's in the shop 2 months later.
It happens. I mean, look, that's just things,
Yeah.
I think things are getting built cheaper.
Break it in.
Yeah, things are getting built cheaper in today's world, like
you actually have to break it in. It's not ready until something's broken.
Yeah.
And then it's about time to be ready.
Yeah, no doubt.
So the first boat, would you say your first guide boat was what?
Yeah, my first guide boat, I think, was a 22-foot Blazer Bay.
Blazer Bay.
Yeah, I mean, it was just something I had that I was fishing just recreational. And I rolled it into business.
Have you done your own mechanic work at any time throughout the years?
Oh, yeah. I still do today.
You kind of have to, right?
Yeah.
You kind of have to be able to.
There are times like right now, I mean, when I'm fishing maybe 8 or 10 trips out of the month, I have time now that I could bring it in and get services done and get fine-tuned for the season that's coming, where you will be fishing 8 days a week. At those times when when the alarm goes off and it's 100 hours or 50 hours or wherever you changing at, there are days where you just got to pull it off the dock and do it at the dock, put it back in the water and just flip it, and fortunately over the years, I mean, we've all kind of got accustomed to doing that. We have all the tools, pumps, you name it. It really doesn't take long. It's just the aggravation is just pulling the boat out of the water, really. I'm on a private lift, so, when people drive up to fish with me, I drop it down, we load up, we pick it back up, we clean fish, and we send you on the way.
What's the camp like down there?
So we've got a couple camps. I don't own any. That was actually my 10-year goal of business that still is just kind of strayed away. And the reason being on that was just hurricanes.
Sucks.
It only takes one to look at some damage and be like, damn, do I really want that? Knowing that it would be a kind of almost mailbox money, in a sense, I would think that 90% of my clientele would support me on that. But man, one hurricane, it doesn't matter how big or bad it is.
I know. One
bad storm it could be bad. So, anyways, we've got a few camps that I broker out, and I mean, if it's available, I try to put them there. Obviously, we have one directly across the street, 5-bedroom, 5-bath, can sleep 20 people in beds. Very nice.
Y'all loaded up like that?
Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
I guess you'll get a couple guides all lined up with one big group.
Yeah.
And
so like those tobacco farmers I was telling you, they came down in December with 18 guys. So they needed that full camp. There's nowhere else that'll sleep 18 people, but our place will sleep 20. So at
That's
that
cool.
point, you knew they were going to stay there, and they stay there every year.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, when this last hurricane came through, the roof blew off of that place. And we didn't know if it'd be available for them in December. And they were kind of a little bit sad about it. I had them set up at a couple other camps, and it ended up they blacked it in and got the thing going again. And we were able to keep them there. But directly across the street, again, 5-bedroom, 5-bath, super nice. I mean, just as nice as your house would be. But it's partitioned. So you could only rent half of it if you want, where just say you got a clients that are just 3 or 4 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they could rent a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, kitchen, living room setup and still be right across the street.
You're down like past Jugs.
Past Jugs, yeah,
Okay.
correct. So if you go just a little bit past me, you'll get wet feet.
Yeah.
Just that
Yeah.
far. But,
So my grandpa always used to pass up Jugs. And we would it had to be private. It had to be private. It was probably those oystermen. They got their own little launch.
Yeah.
He'd go past Jug, he'd go over the little bump. He would always launch right there because he would pull the boat with his car, and that launch was better for for the angle on his car.
For his
whatever.
hookup, huh?
And it wasn't until I got older where I was, started paying more attention. I'm like, man, I don't think we're supposed to be doing this.
Well, one cool thing about the bayou is you never meet a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
So chances of somebody pissing somebody off, is over somebody going fishing on a launch is probably not a bad deal.
Not a 96-year-old man.
They probably see him and just shake their head and continue on. It's all good.
I'm sure.
But so we're just past the hurricane protection levee. Obviously, 1,000% flood zone where we are.
Yeah.
So if storms come in, we pull our boats back home, take ice machines, everything that we have, and bring them out of there. And just.
Damn, so you got to do that twice a year almost. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, it can kind of get a little monotonous when they start to say, "Oh, it's coming," and then it goes somewhere else. What's coming?
Right.
Is the 5th one for the year. That was a couple years ago. I think it was about 7 or 8 times we pulled boats thinking that it was going to be a storm, and fortunately, it went somewhere else. I mean,
yeah,
we're all right with that.
God,
but that's South Louisiana for you. You go anywhere else, it's pick your own poison, avalanches, earthquakes, wildfires.
Let me ask you a question. I'm assuming you're running a Minn Kota or something with a spy lock?
Yeah.
When a hurricane's coming the night before, you can't drop it in the water, put spy lock on, and just let it go up with the water?
Yeah, maybe.
And
when
it comes back down, it'll be right there?
Yeah. It's probably the technology. It's getting pretty smart.
You make that video, and that's going to go viral.
One GoPro on it and see what happens.
You put about 5 or 6 batteries on it and just let it eat.
It would be really cool to be a bird's eye view on some of these hurricanes. When you see so much water come, or like Hurricane Ida, it sucked so much water over and under that storm, where like in Sister Lake, there's a gauge there. It dropped like 7 feet of it might have been a +4 or whatever it was to like a -3. So
it
like
just bellies the Gulf.
It just sucked that whole thing.
That's crazy.
All
That's
of that
unbelievable,
water,
man.
And those lakes. I mean, some of those lakes are just 4 or 5 feet any day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Or you think about in the marsh. I mean, that's 2 foot of water, 3 foot of water. Well, when something like that where it sucks 7 feet, that's just mud and oysters. But it would be cool to be a bird's eye view on something like that, to where you see it disappear, and then all of a sudden, a couple hours later, you see it come right on back in.
All right, bird's eye view.
Sure.
Fishing birds for trout. What if I'm running up, I see some birds, you fishing the birds. What should I do?
Well, that depends who you ask. For me, man, there's so much water. And those birds probably won't be there that long.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody comes up, as long as somebody's not gonna like just come run right over where the fish are, I actually entertain it. I mean, it's like, hey man, I want people to catch fish.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to why I started business and how cool Louisiana is, I like for people to experience what I did my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody from Montana doesn't see this, where the fish is pushing the shrimp up and the bird is eating the shrimp from the top. So it sucks to be the shrimp.
So
But how cool and then the people throwing to catch the speckled trout. It's just one big food chain all in one, which is cool.
Bo and I were fishing. Was this pass? Guess it'd be like Eagle Lake area.
Okay.
And we're fishing some birds, and we're smoking a trout, and we're just me and him having a blast. This dude comes in, hot, runs up, kills the boat, runs up to the front, drops the trolling motor, and he's like coasting in between us and the birds.
Nice.
Drops the trolling motor, coasts in, starts putting together his fly rod, and he wears the piss out of the trout, and we didn't get one bite. And we're watching him, and we started talking to him. He's from here. He's from Schriever. And we had some mutual friends in common and all. And literally not one more bite. We couldn't do anything to make that change.
Isn't that amazing?
We're right by him. He's got his fly rod, and he's like taunting us. He's like, watch. I'm going to count to 3.
Y'all throwing in the same barrel.
Yeah, he's like, watch, I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, pulling him in, and we were
counting to 3, catching on 2.
Both pissed and impressed at the same time.
I bet.
But I would never do that to someone else.
Look, I think that's kind of where like social media and some of the media stuff that we were talking about. I mean, man, people post things, and when, hey, look, we all want to go and catch fish. So if fish are biting, like, why wouldn't you go to Lost Lake or wherever you heard they were biting?
Mm-hmm.
So it does get a little bit crowded, and you got the person that you fish 5 days and they only get 1, so they want to go catch fish. And I see both sides of that. Again, you see those people who probably shouldn't own a boat, who would be somebody that would just go run right on top of the birds. And as big as what our Louisiana coast is, I always think like, man, how many fish did we pass up looking for a fish? You run 10 miles to go somewhere that you've been hammering those fish. How many fish did we pass up?
Or you leave the dock, you go fish all day, you get murdered by the sun, you come back in, and the kids that were fishing on the dock by the marina,
they got them.
They got all the fish.
Well, hey, it happens.
I've seen that too.
It happens.
But so I've also been, say, in the Gulf fishing like rocks for trout, where there's 8 to 10 boats. And everyone's kind of worried about, are they about to piss someone off? Like, everyone's catching, but everyone's doing their thing. What's the rules? Because I never asked someone if I pissed them off.
I don't know if there is any rule. I always just think like, man, just same as life. Like,
just say sorry after if they get mad.
Yeah, I mean, like, what they gonna do, But still, at the end of the day, it's like, man, if you would want it done to you, or if you wouldn't want it done to you, then probably it's not that good to do it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to use your brain on it. It's like, man, and you see things happen where, you do get that boat and they come and the fish shut off. Those fish didn't go real far. You just got to go find them again.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, sometimes that's it. It's over. Like it might have been that one point because it's 20-mile-an-hour winds and that's the only place that you knew you could catch. And something happens. And, again, that's where my clientele, who are awesome, comes into play that, hey, what we got is what we got too,
Like you might be working a bank fishing reds, and you're on the bank and you're like, your boat is pointed this way and you're going towards maybe a cut up here. And it's 50 yards away. And then a boat comes in and gets right on that. He should know that you're going that way and just leave you. Go to a different spot.
Common courtesy.
Things like that, I find, is common sense. But other situations, like if we're all on birds or we're all on rocks, I kind of don't see a problem with us all getting pretty close to each other as long as we're not casting into your boat.
Some of the guys I network with, I mean, there'll be times we had a group this last summer. It was 11 boats, guys, like 34 guys we had, and it's all buddies of ours that. Guide-wise fishing, and we all knew we were gonna, you hate to put all the eggs in one basket. So what we did was say, hey, we all gonna take we're fishing the Gulf at the pickets, and we said, hey, we all gonna take a spot, and then whoever's catching, we'll just kind of start rotating in there. And look, if you do it pretty subtly, it can happen where you got 3-4 boats in a row and everybody's catching.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then again, there's days where, hey, maybe nobody's catching. But it's nice to see that, in your network, well, hey, if Sean's not catching them and Travis is not catching them, maybe they're just not biting quite yet. And then all of a sudden you see, well, we got 10. Oh, yeah, we got 12. And you kind of know you're on that same, it's like, all right, well, maybe they weren't eating until now,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, a fish is a fish. Hey, when we hungry, we go to the refrigerator.
How nice is having spot lock?
Oh, man, it's a game changer.
Was that a game changer?
Oh,
Would you say that's the biggest game changer?
I think biggest game changer for me, man, to be able to move just on a whim and not have to pick up an anchor, drop an anchor. How many times you ever had an anchor that just didn't want to set?
My anchors never.
Man, it don't matter which one you. I mean, somebody might. Oh man, you got to go buy this one particular brand with 19 feet of chain and
if you
this kind of rope,
and dude, the
still don't work.
Like that is, if you're trying to get an anchor to hold, especially if it's even 20 foot, that is backbreaking work.
Oh my God.
If you got all new people in the boat, and if you're like me, I don't ask anyone to help.
No, I don't.
If there's a skilled guy on the boat, probably he'll just do it, and he'll know what to do, and he'll do it. But other than that, I'm not going to ask anyone to help. So I'm like, I might be trying to fish the bridge Caminada, and I'm running back and forth, trying
to set the anchor,
trying to set it, and I'm drifting away, and we finally get a spot, and I don't like where it's at, and I got to redo it all again. I can't imagine just being able to go boop.
It was a game changer in the industry, and now they even have, like, on the unit that I run, is a jog where if you hit the button, you have a forward direction. If you hit the button 2 times to the right, well, it's going to jog you 5 feet per time you hit it. So just say you want to move up 50 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you hit up 10 times, you don't touch it.
Oh, so you hit it and let it go. And
yeah, you hitting it, and it's taking you up 50 feet from the coordinate that the coordinates that you were on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a jog mode, and what happens is you get on these reefs offshore where it's all rock and just open water. What allows you to kind of sniff over that whole thing. It's like, hey, you pull up and you hadn't caught anything in 10 minutes. Well, let's move up 50 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And you move up, you click it 10 times, and it's going to move you up or to the west or whatever it is. Per time you hit it, it's 5 feet. Dude, that's a game changer. Because now, just say it's 5 feet. Sometimes you might just be right outside of where those redfish are sitting in 30 foot of water. Or you might be out 100 feet from where those speckled trout are by the thousands.
Yeah.
You just kind of sniff over it. But man, what a game changer, to have spot lock.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. Now you push a button, they come up, you push a button, they go down. Some people run those. Some people like to still do it manually. But man, what a game changer from having to pick up an anchor.
And what about electronics?
For us, electronics are almost just for show, in a sense.
Yeah.
I mean, look, having where you can put actual Google photography on a unit, obviously for navigation reasons, is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to be able to run with. But for me, this was a couple years ago. I had a new boat, and this is actually my last boat. The boat came in, and the screen that I bought, I like to maximize everything. If I could put 3 power poles, I'm putting 3. Mm-hmm. If I can put 2, I'm maximizing everything. So if they give me a console this big, I'm trying to maximize that thing with a screen, because I want people to get in and be like, damn, that's nice. Because let's face it, people are they're investing in you. Why not have stuff worth investing in, And so anyways, I bring everything to the dealership, and they're going to rig everything up, and they call me and they say, hey man, we got a problem. I'm like, oh shit. He said, the unit is too big for the dashboard.
And you already bought it?
I said, man, you got to be kidding me. He said, well, what they did was they put a little radio head where the unit would go. So it kind of minimalizes where you could put that unit. He said, but I know you got to run a trip. And this was a trip I had the country artist, Chris Young. I had Dak Prescott, Lyle Collins was with him, Dak's brother, Tad. I had a group that I knew music was going to be important to. He said, man, hey, here's the deal. He said,
these guys like music, huh?
Do you really need the unit today? like, for the next trip you're going to run in 3 days. I'm like, or do you need the radio? I'm like, I need the radio. 1,000%. I mean, at this point, I could run with my eyes closed,
Right.
you know? But to have that radio or no radio, that's a game changer. I mean, let's face it, when you fishing, you got to have some music. Come on, man.
That's crazy.
And so anyways, what was going to happen was they were going to remove that head afterwards and then cut out for the unit that was too big. Wasn't for the dash. It just was too big to put it with what they had there. But on that one, man, I punted. I said, man, I don't need that. I don't need that GPS. What I do need is that radio.
Good call.
You know? Yeah, and we jammed out. We had a good time. You know, now if I were a person that just relied upon that, then that might have been a different thing. But man, that to have that radio was huge. You got to tell a lot of little Johnny jokes if you don't. You like a little noise, and hey, man, again, it's fun. You know, that's what people are here for.
So I started diving maybe 2 years ago, doing some free diving, spearfishing, and like you were saying earlier, you're talking about the reds. They might not be here, they might be here, and like this was one of the coolest things for me to see, because you spend your whole life in the boat and you're just guessing as to where they are. You know, you only know they're there if they're biting it, but if they're not biting it, you assume they're not there, and it's absolutely not the case.
Right.
Because we get in at the rigs and we get to see 4 or 5 boats pull up and leave, pull up and leave, pull up and leave, and we can stack the boat with mangroves, cobia,
yeah, and
snapper,
you seen what's down there,
I can see their lines, and I can see where the fish are, and I can see what the fish are doing. You know, everyone might be coming here, and that's where they're fishing. Well, all the fish are here, or they're on the inside of the rig facing that way. And it was really the time it really hit me, relating it to fishing, because I've always thought about it, but really relating it to fishing is seeing big bull reds and drum stacked up on a leg.
Yeah, about 100 probably.
Oh, as many as you want, as big as you want, but all doing the same thing. They're not just all down there lollygagging, like the snapper do and mangroves. They kind of be everywhere. They're just sitting like logs. They're all facing the same direction. They're all kind of lined up and piled up into a little school and just sitting, And the first time I saw that, I was like, yeah, it was just another realization, like, you just have to find them. They could be here, they could be here, they could be facing that way. So you have to figure that out,
Yeah, and look, I mean, going back to what I was saying earlier is, you could catch them all on this one point for a week straight, and then you go back there on Friday, and they're there. They didn't bite, or hey, they might have been 100 yards down on another point, but you were just so invested in that one. But like, right there, as you see a couple boats come in and you see their line go down and you seeing where the fish is on the other side of where the fish are on the other side of the rig, knowing that damn well they're not going to catch them, and that the fish ain't moving, so at that point you see that boat leave and you're down there spearfishing and
yeah. But then you see
loading the boat.
Then you see a guy with a spot lock come on the upcurrent.
Yeah.
And, he can do something no one else can.
Yeah.
Sit there and fish them.
Yeah.
That's a
game changer.
That's really big, man.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about what way the current's going, what if your rig hook caught or if it didn't catch. I mean, you got there's a lot of, man, it's a cool thing. For a long time, I had an anchor on, well, I still do. I have an anchor on my boat and it's emergency purposes only.
Do you have to?
Nope.
It's not required.
No, not required. No, not required. But man, there have been a few days where something will break on a trolling motor. I mean, hey, let's get it. It's electronics, and as many times as it goes up and down for me and gets ran hours upon hours upon hours, yeah, you got to expect a breakdown here and there. But I had anchor on my boats just for like, hey, if I lost power altogether, with having 2 shallow water anchors and a spot lock. I mean, if I can't anchor with all those 3, probably $15,000 worth of stuff, I'm going home.
Yeah.
So typically, your technology should work for you, and it does. It's been pretty cool to have.
What's like your morning routine look like?
Ooh, morning routine.
Like you got 6 guys that 6 guys that play for Dallas or something, and they're coming in and they're at the camp. Like, what you wake up and you do what?
Yeah, so it depends on the client. Like some clients we do like full catered lodging, catering, breakfast, lunch
before the fishing.
I
don't know if I agree with that. I think you got to earn your breakfast. I think you got to go catch fish, come back and eat.
Sometimes it's beer for breakfast. It depends how late they've stayed up.
We're saying that breakfast after fishing, but I know you guys like to post your dock shots at like 7:45. So you probably can eat breakfast still early in the morning.
It really all depends, though. I mean, like a summer day for me, I mean, my alarm goes off at 2:45 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
That's early. You know, some people are still out at that point. 2:45, my alarm's going to go to work. And 3:15 is my goal to leave home. Of course, I live in Thibodaux, or Chack Bay, and it's an hour for me to get to the boat. So I got a plan for that hour drive, which is, some may say it seems like a lot, but man, for me, it's a cup of coffee. I chat with a few guides in the morning. Mm-hmm. I got my ritual places where I might get diesel or fuel or whatever it is. Kind of like an old man, when you're going to read the newspaper at McDonald's.
Your honey bun and your yoo-hoo.
Yeah, it's like all those things. But 2:45 in the summer, I'm up. 3:15, I'm out the door. 4:15, I'm at the boat. And probably 4:45 clients.
Mm-hmm.
If it is something that's catered or whatever, I mean, obviously we hire people to come in and do things. And then there are sometimes like when Dak's group comes in, I mean, this is like hanging out with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go boil crawfish or I'm going to cook croissants or whatever it is, Mm-hmm. So it's PR as well as work, but, typically we're usually running before the sun comes up at our fishing spots when the sun's hitting the horizon. And, our trips probably run to about noon or so. We always hope that, somewhere around 12 o'clock or so, you got a couple hours of fish cleaning, hopefully.
Do your wife and kids like to fish?
They do. Yeah. So I got a wife who enjoys hunting and fishing. I've got 2 girls, Miller Claire and Juliana, 8 and 13, and they both love to fish. In the summertime, when they're out, of course, is my busy time. So it's not always that they can come on the boat with me. During COVID was pretty cool because they were out of school. I wasn't really doing a whole lot of fishing. Mm-hmm. So we were able to spend time on my office a good bit and let them come and see what I see every day. Dolphins and pelicans cool. And man, just the coast, waves crashing. Like it's more than just fishing,
Yeah.
And I believe when you book me, that's what you get, more than fishing, and it should be that. But they love to fish. They love to hunt. Both girls killed each a deer this year. I don't have boys, so they got to do. My girls, they got to do boy
stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. You got to be able to make it special for them, which attempting as well.
Yeah, man.
With 2 girls, and my boy he's 4 months, so not yet. But the girls, I'm trying to make it special for them because fishing and hunting, just anything outdoors, it was always a super special thing for me growing up, and I didn't have to catch them all, but I think that was due to maybe who I was going with, so say, I spent a lot of time fishing with my dad when I was younger, and when I was older, a lot of times fishing with my papa, and the old guys, they got a way of making it fun, right? Without any actual fun happening.
Yeah.
Like looking back, I don't know why I still fish, but something must have been happening. Like they must have been doing something. And I think it has to do with the buildup of the trip, just the excitement, the maybe the routine, like you said, like you always stop at the same gas station, you get a honey bun, you do whatever, you always go talk to the man at the launch and all of this.
The hype music on the way to the boat.
Yeah, the little rituals and the occasional secret spot, like that, all of that stuff, or the secret lure, or the special color that Papa always uses, those things I think help make it special, and I think you have to have that, because you can't always go limit out, you can't always go catch the biggest fish you ever caught, so it's tough,
and in my business, you sell an experience. You truly are selling an experience. You can't make fish bite. You can't make somebody catch one. But if they had fun, it was worth every dollar to them. I mean, they caught a good time. That's the slogan of my business, catch a good time.
Catch a good time.
It's like, man, at the end of the day, fish was bonus. And if people come with that mentality, it's a win before you even start.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was saying earlier, when I first started, I would get this anxiety on my way to the boat. It's like, man, what if we don't catch? I never met these people. What if they ain't nice? What
if they mean?
What if they mean mugging me? When we ain't catching fish, like where are we gonna go? And like before you would even get to the boat, like your day was almost ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost ruined before you got there. And I had a buddy of mine who's a fishing guide out towards the Texas coast around Lake Calcasieu, and he told me one day, he said, "Man, A, you can't make fish bite. B, you can't make people catch them when they biting. And C, never think that it's about the limit.
Mm-hmm.
Man, somebody comes and catches that one big bull red and it's the biggest fish they ever caught. Well, to somebody down here, that might not be of interest to somebody because they caught them their whole lives. But to somebody from Wisconsin,
yeah,
they just pulled in a 40-pound fish.
And
it's huge. How many pictures can we get?
Well, dude, I used to go, tuna fishing with Uncle Donald, and my strongest memory of going tuna fishing was when I caught a shark. Right, that's the last thing he wanted to catch, and it was just a pain in his ass, But I caught a freaking shark. I was like 10 years old, and I caught this huge shark. It's the coolest thing ever. I want pictures of it. I want to mount it on the wall. Like I want to tell all my friends. Like he spent all the time and money running out there catching live bait, doing all this stuff for tuna. I don't remember if we caught one tuna, but that is the reality of it. And you're doing the same thing with, with guys that are 40 years old. They see it the same as it's the same excitement as a kid would have, So
in 2017, I went to South Africa. And it's something I always wanted to do. I had a friend of mine who had passed away that year, and he was just 2 years older than me. It was just an eye opener. It's like, man, it's not guaranteed I'm gonna live to be 90.
Mm-hmm.
Why not live today, right? So I'd always wanted to go hunt in Africa, and so I booked this deal. I booked this safari, and I'm going hunting. And man, I get on the flight, and it's 15 and a half hours. I mean, it's a stretch. And the excitement that I had was like none other. I mean, I was pretty poor growing up. I didn't hire nobody to go do nothing. I mean, look, I had a boat that was on top of a junk pile with a hand-me-down
a nice
Evan
motor.
Road, smoked.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, the excitement that I had to go and do something and kill something that I had never done, it was unbelievable. And so I go and I spent a week there and did a bunch of cool stuff and killed a bunch of cool stuff. And it didn't hit me until my flight home of this is the same anticipation that people get when they come and fishing with me.
Right, yeah.
And it
very, very right.
It was like a brick to my face when I realized I have a client of mine who they live around Jackson, Mississippi. They have a dry erase board. They call me T-Love. That's my nickname. She's got 240 days until we fish with T-Love. And her husband every now and then will just send me a random picture. It's like, man,
the
Jenny,
countdown.
Yeah, Jenny's still got a countdown going. It's a dry erase board. Dude, that's anticipation.
Yeah.
When you put something on a dry erase board, and it also goes to show you, like, those are people who really love coming with you too.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
awesome.
But at the end of the day, on my flight back home from Africa, I was like, holy shit, this is the same thing, the same feeling that people get when they coming from Alaska, when they coming from, Spokane, Washington to come and fish South Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
And not just with me, but I mean, any other guide on the Louisiana coast, it probably takes something like that to put you back in place and be like, man, that's a big game changer for me. And it curbed my business.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately in 2017 just started thinking about it a different way. It's like, man, this person's so excited. You could have had the most crappiest morning ever. Getting to the boat, flat tire, whatever it was, diesel pump wasn't working, gas pumper on the diesel pump. Like,
no more biscuits.
could have had, no more cheese and bacon biscuits. Like, you could have had the worst morning, but when you show up, you better be A+ ready for somebody who's super excited about going fishing in South Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? That's what they're here for. Like, and that's what they had you lined up to do, is to take them and show them. And again, going back to you're selling an experience, like, hey, these are oyster boats working on the side of us. And hey, we might grab a few of them and shuck them on a dock and eat some.
Yeah.
Or, hey, somebody's coming from Alaska and they're not bringing fish home. Well, let's fry some on a dock. We got a big fish fryer there. Let's fry some on a dock. At least eat what you caught. Try it. But for me, man, what a game changer to realize the anticipation that people probably get and should get to come to South Louisiana and catch fish that you can't catch anywhere else that's not on the saltwater,
But it takes something like that. It takes, you getting out of your routine to see that.
And it was a brick to my face. I guarantee it.
Gives you more respect for yourself almost.
I could sit right here with you and remember it like it was yesterday. And just that feeling, I was like, wow, I just experienced this really cool experience. And this is what people do when they come for a guided trip with me. I'd never hired a guide in my life. And here I am halfway across the world hunting critters that I never hunted in my life with a guide.
Right.
All excited, amped up, can't wait to get there, hated to leave,
That's cool, man.
It was definitely a game changer in the way I think about business and the way I try to handle my trips as far as, what people are really here for. Man, if somebody drove 10 hours to come see me, I'm not trying to get back to the dock at 8:30 in the morning. Just, they've invested in you. Why not give some time,
Yeah. Go throw some jug lines.
And just, hey, go on that booze cruise, go, I call it a Cajun cruise. Like, go see some alligators, pelicans. I mean, we get people who just want to go bird watching.
Right.
Sometimes it's not about fishing, somebody wants to go see the pelicans nesting on Coon Point, or wherever it may be. Hey, we want to see whatever.
Man, you kind of got to be a historian.
All around guy.
You gotta be a photographer.
Yeah, man. You gotta take good photos.
Yeah. I bet you're getting good with your angles and all.
Yeah, man. Gotta crop out those backgrounds and all.
Hold it way out here for me.
How far are your arms? We'll make him look like a keeper. Make him look like 40 pounds.
Side note, my grandpa did have a toilet on his boat.
Nice.
Custom. Toilet. Let's call it a toilet seat.
There you go.
He installed a toilet seat onto his, what he had? Might have been a Luma weld or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little custom seat.
Custom seat.
Just in case nature comes.
Custom seat. You don't have a toilet seat.
No.
You got spot lock, but you don't have a toilet seat.
No. I hadn't got that far yet.
Well, man, how about some super special secret fishing tips?
Well, I don't know if I have any.
Is it easier than it looks?
I think it's as hard as you make it. Let's say that.
How about this? For someone that's just amped up, looking to just can't wait to go catch trout, give them one of these. Give them like a, hey, try this next time. Give them like one of those. Yeah,
I think, man, you got to just keep going, keep moving till you find them. I mean, it really is a stick and move deal. If you go to one place and they're supposed to be there and they're not, you might give it a little time, but you hate to miss the bite when the bite is happening. So if they're not there in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I probably would make a move, and just keep moving till you find them. They're going to be fish somewhere. I mean, like I said earlier, it's how many fish we passed up looking for fish. Like, so much water, so many points, so much reef. They putting reefs in, artificial reefs. I mean, they're doing all these things to try to keep our estuary like it is and should be. I mean, there's just so many places to fish. So just keep fishing.
I hope I get to keep fishing.
Me too.
Fishing's good.
Me too. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that on my day off is what I want to go do, which is where my hunting comes into play. You know, but man, if my kids want to go fishing, I still can't wait to go and guide them. My wife will want to go on a boat and rip some reds, and I'll let her get after it. She tells all her friends too that she kicked my ass on fishing. But I also tell her that she had a fishing guide.
Yeah.
Good one.
She cheated.
Yeah. So she wouldn't have got there if it wasn't for me.
All right. Any last closing things? What's the name of your real estate company? How do people reach you there?
Yeah. So real estate, I mean, that was, like I told you, my COVID come to Jesus was, doing some real estate, and I started working with a place called Open Season Properties. And what we do and specialize in is recreational hunting land, ranches, farms, acreage in Mississippi, Louisiana. We've got 6 states that we're licensed and selling land in. Me personally, Louisiana and Mississippi. The guy that I work with, Thad Miller, who's been a friend of mine for many years and a fishing client of mine, he's one of the partners in this business. And we made an elk hunt one time in Colorado, and just driving 24 hours straight, he and I, and he'd sleep for 5 hours and I'd drive, and we'd take, between coffee and diesel breaks, we just made the whole stretch. But we got to talk about a lot of things. And he said, you're fishing 200 and something days a year now. I might have been 40 at the time. He said, what are you going to want to do when you're 50? I'm like, I don't know, but I don't want to be fishing that many days. He said, you ever thought about getting your real estate license? And I said, no, I never did. I really don't have time to go show a house. Or he said, no, I'm talking about hunting land, like what I buy and sell. And I said, no, I never thought about it. And he's a guy, I mean, look, if he tells you the moon's made of cheese, you better get some crackers. He's just that kind of guy. He's a straight shooter, and, one of my fondest friends. And, when COVID came around, it was just an eye-opener, man, of how many small businesses just tanked and how many people were really affected, lost lives, so forth. But what was a backup plan? What if I did break a leg? Who's going to go run the boat? The boat ain't moving. I'm not getting paid. That means bills aren't getting paid. It's just a domino effect. And I took the time and got my real estate license for Louisiana and Mississippi as well, just to pursue it, and again, I think at this point, it's really about people knowing what you do and that you do it. It could just be representing somebody as a buyer. How many people get on my boat that are hunters, fishermen, or how many people that buy land enjoy fishing. So it kind of went hand in hand that every single person that stepped on the boat was a potential buyer, but every single buyer was a potential fishing client. So what a cool way to just weave 2 businesses to where you can get fish and hunting land all at once.
Awesome.
So that was something I started in 2021. And, I always give myself in a business strategy, I give myself 5 years just to see what's it going to be? It was the same with fishing, is it going to roll, or is it going to be like a fish flopping out of water, But I think 5 years is realistic, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And so that's kind of the goal for the future, is if I could minimalize a little bit of fishing and still be, do land deals as well. Just, as I get older, who knows, man, maybe I might fish a lot less and do a lot more land.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's just something else that I decided that I wanted to do. Something that's, being a hunter, I've always enjoyed being in the woods and finding things, arrowheads, and, all the cool things you could see and some people might not even know about, like just seeing the sun come up through the trees, or a deer come out and the deer not know you there, and you just watch that deer do what a deer does, or it's just, it was always a cool thing. So yeah, I started that during COVID, and just to see how it goes, and some things have popped and some things have not popped. So it really depends, of how the future holds. Of course, interest rates have been high. I mean, we got new president. I mean, there are new things coming in. So who knows what the future holds for anything. But I do feel like people are probably a little more comfortable with spending money, So
feels like it.
Yeah. People are a little more comfy, which is a good thing. I mean, obviously things have been expensive for a long time now. So
yeah. Some are loaded up already?
Yeah, for me, man, I'm probably booking like August, September right now. Yeah, so it's and you know what happened was is people just started doing, hey, if I fish May the 5th, let's put us on for next year, May 5th. We'll see you.
Gotcha.
So booking a year in advance, it gets busy fast.
Yeah. You do any marketing? You do any like emails to your clients, stuff like that?
No.
Like, hey, just reminder?
Yeah,
Or-
just text messages that, you know, a lot of my people I still keep in contact with weekly, monthly. Just, hey, how's it going up there? How's y'all's harvest, tobacco, or, you know,
Mhm.
whatever network they're in. It's, you know, it's friendships.
Right.
So you keep in touch with those people, but yeah, no marketing as far as, hey, you should come fishing with me tomorrow,
Yeah.
you know, or next year or
Yeah.
whatever it is. It just, that business is kind of established, which is cool. What to say.
I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah, man. Feels good.
All right, dude. I appreciate it. Appreciate the conversation.
Man, thanks for having me.
I learned a lot.
I hope so. Come fishing.
I learned a lot.
You got to, hey,
I'm gonna
this
have
is
to
the
go
deal.
show you up on your own boat.
As long as you bring jerky, you come on the boat.
I always bring food.
I like
Anytime I ever go on anyone's boat, I'm bringing
it.
food.
You got to. You never know.
I get to decide what the food is, but I'm bringing food, and if I go to anyone's camp, I'm cooking.
I like it.
That's how it works.
That's all the fun in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Cooking.
I love cooking.
Same.
I hope to get on a boat with you.
Yeah, man. Let's
someday.
do it.
Yeah.
We're going to line it up.
Definitely. And so Reelin Good Charters on Facebook.
Yeah,
People can find you.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram at Reelin Good Charters. Probably www.reelingoodcharters.com. Give you a little more information as far as rates, that sort of thing.
And if you're booked up, you got some other guys.
If I'm booked, I got a good network of guys that I'll put somebody with. I'd prefer them to be in my boat, but, you know, hey, at the end of the day, if somebody wants to come and I can't make it, then, you know, that's just the breaks. But 985-856-8167 is how they can find me. Text message, call, phone goes off all times of the day. So
good deal, man.
And I appreciate you.
Keep on fishing.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, dude. All right, that's it for this episode of the Miracles of Meat podcast. We ask that you share it with at least one person in your life that you think needs to hear it. You know, if you got a little something from it, you got some little goose pimples, or just gave you some feel goods, you know, send it to someone else. Let them feel that too. And if you loved it, please leave us a 5-star review. That'll really help out. And if you only loved it like 4 stars worth, please do not leave a review. Same thing with the 1 through 3. Not interested in any of those, only 5 stars. If you have any personal questions or comments about the episode, shoot them over to Bourgeois Meat Market on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll reach back out. And if you have any ideas for any cool future guests, please shoot those over too. We're always interested in hearing who else is out there and what kind of cool stories we might be able to bring into this place. See you next time. Thanks for listening.